Right, it's been a while, hasn't it? How's it going, guys? My name's Andreas. Welcome back to a brand new video on my channel where today I'm going to be helping you guys out. Now, this is the beginning of a little mini series of just like tips and tricks videos, tutorials, whatever you want to call it, to help you guys out as much as you can. Now, we're going to be doing FIFA today, and today we're going to be doing the top 5 formations I recommend to you guys in FIFA 21. Now, I know people will be like, Andreas, it's Christmas time, it's January time of FIFA 21. Shouldn't you have made this video earlier? Well, here's the thing, right? The formations and the metas are changing consistently. However, these are 5 formations, and I've chosen 5 because if I were to be every other YouTuber and say 3 or 2 formations, the meta is constantly changing, and you can have all 5 of these formations in mind when you're considering changing the meta, or the meta is changing, you're considering changing formation. So without further ado, let's get to number 5. The 5th best formation in this game, in my opinion, is the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, and I'll have it up on the screen here for you guys to take a look at it. Now, this formation, it's very balanced in the attacking perspective, but not really in the defensive perspective. Now, let me tell you why this formation is very good. This formation is the perfect formation if you go a goal down, or you need a goal to kill off the game. Now, what a lot of people will do is you have your 4 at the back, you pretty much don't touch that, keep that the same way, and then this is where you get a bit more creative. So in your CDM role, the way I've been playing this formation, the way other people have been playing this formation, you have one medium-high style defensive midfielder, someone like an N'Golo Kante who will win you the ball and then be able to distribute it quickly. Now, the 3 midfielders after that, so the 2 central left and right midfielders, and then the middle attacking midfielder, this is where you could get a bit creative. I've seen people throw strikers in these positions to if they need a goal. You know, I've seen people throw full-on attackers into this position and not care about the defensive abilities whatsoever. Now, this is where you can decide to get a bit more creative. Let's say you're a goal up and you need to kill the game off, but you still want to be able to maintain your defensive abilities without being compromised too much. Now, this is where you can throw in 2 high attacking and high defensive work rate midfielders to help you win the ball, coming back, and then going forward help you kill off the game a bit more by scoring or contributing to that extra goal. However, if you are in a moment of doom and gloom and you do need to score in order to get back into the game, you could throw your attacking players into this formation, and at this point you just go all out attack. You could throw your Neymars, your Mbappes, your Ronaldos, your Messis in these midfielder positions, and this is where you can get a bit more creative with that and then try and kill off a game or come back in a game. Now, 2 strikers up top, this is where it's all down to you. Now, a lot of people have been leaving the striker instructions in general this year completely by themselves, completely random, completely balanced. This is pretty much up to what you want to do. However, what you can do is you have 1 striker in as a getting behind striker or a target man, and then 1 striker coming back on defense, acting as a false 9 in some sense to be able to win the ball and help push your team forward that little bit more, coming into midfield, picking up the passes, and then going forward with it. This is entirely up to you, but this is how I recommend you play it. So in conclusion, 4-1-2-1-2, it's a good formation, but it's not my favorite of the bunch. Next formation I have gone for, and it's the 4-4-2 normal variant. So there are 2 variants, the 4-4-2 second version, and this is the first variant. So this is where you'll have your usual 4 at the back, your 2 central midfielders, your left midfielder, and your right midfielder, and then 2 strikers. This formation is very, very good because it's essentially what people consider it to be balanced, but a lot of people maybe hearing about the formation and thinking, oh, it's too basic, you know, boot the ball forward, that sort of thing, and then just, you know, guess holding out the play, you know, playing a bit boring. No, this formation can kill off games. However, this is a bit similar to 4-1-2-1-2 in that sense, in that it will leave you very open defensively. Now, people have been playing this formation very, very differently across the year so far. A lot of people will put defensive sort of midfielders in those CM roles, but won't change to the other formation to keep them up a little bit more and still be able to support the attack. However, while this does work, it can leave you very, very open to counters. And, you know, essentially, this year, your CDMs or your midfielders do not track back by themselves. You need to full-on pull them back in order to defend a goal opportunity. And this is very, very hard to do with 2 advanced central midfielders, even if they are CDM star with medium-high work rates. You know, it doesn't work that way in terms of FIFA. It sounds logical, but players don't work that way in FIFA. So, at this perspective, you can choose whatever you sort of want. If you want to go from more attacking base to high attacking and defensive work rates for your central midfielders. And then on your wingers though, I and many other players will highly advise you guys to put get in behind, cut inside, and then get into the box for a cross as your instructions for this formation, because essentially this can act as a 4-2-4 going forward, because you can have your left mid and right mids cutting into the box, getting in the box all the time and getting ready to shoot and score. However, you can still have them come back on defense if you want to kill off a game and to seal it out, and then you can have them constantly come back and try and win the ball for you. Your two strikers, you can pretty much do exactly what I did last time in the 4-1-2-1-2 as I recommended. You can have one as a more comeback on defense sort of style, win the ball up, press forward with it, or you can have a striker as well that just is full on going forward in the attack. It's a good formation, it's a strong one, but it's not my favorite of the bunch. Next formation, I will be recommending my third favorite formation on this game. It's the 4-2-2-2. Now this formation, it's a very nice formation and it's one a lot of pros are using this year. It's good for me, but it's not my favorite for a reason. Now, well, I'll get into this reason, but let me big up the formation first. First off, you'll have your standard 4 at the back, and at this time you'll have 2 CDMs and then 2 wide attacking midfielders. Your 2 CDMs, this is kind of like a 4-4-2 in many senses, so you have like 2 in the middle and then 2 slightly wider positions and then 2 up top. So in many ways it's similar to a 4-4-2 but a bit more advanced for your playstyle. And it's also similar to a 4-2-3-1 in that you can have 2 CDMs as well. However, this is where I think the formation can be a bit confusing sometimes. Not really as much in terms of gameplay, but just more confusing on who players like to choose. I've seen players go for very different sort of styles and approaches to this formation. So for example, you can have medium-high work rate CDMs in these roles as your CDMs, and then just sort of, you know, have a bit more sense in terms of defending and keeping yourself secure that way. However, I've also seen players go for more attacking style players, and then having players like Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne and so, 2 players who aren't the best defensively but can do a job with high work rates as well, coming back on defense. People will also play them as CDMs, and then attacking midfielders, people will usually play fast players. However, I've also seen players use like more balanced sort of attacking midfielders like your Bruno Fernandes and your Kevin De Bruyne as players who aren't as fast but are more passing style, dribbling style and shooting style as well. So from that aspect, it's a bit confusing, and that's why it's not my favorite on the list, because, you know, it does allow you to get creative. However, if you make one wrong choice about your formation and who you want to play in there, you're not going to have that much of a great time. It's a tough formation and it's one to get right, and it'll take time to get right as well. So therefore it's a good formation, but it's not my favorite. Second highest formation on my list, and it is the 4-2-3-1. This formation has literally been in meta since like FIFA 18 really. It's ridiculous, but it's been in formation as a meta for a reason. It is so well balanced. You have 2 CDMs, 3 attacking midfielders and 1 striker. You have your usual 4 at the back, and this is where a lot of people will get good with their play styles. So the CDMs, they will often include players with medium-high style work rate, so that's where I advise you guys to do that from. However, if you guys need an attacking work rate sort of style, so high attacking work rates, you can throw your CDMs in those roles too. They can act forward more as central midfielders, and then also they can come back on defense as your usual CDMs as well. Now, this is where people will get a bit confused, because people will be like, oh, do I include a high work rate? So I can fit players like Sissoko in, you know, players who are high but have very strong physicality players and very strong defensively, maybe less offensively as well. Or do I go with all-round CDMs? And this is where it's down to you. Personally, the way I have played this formation before is I will have 2 medium-high style work rate CDMs, and then 1 balanced player in the middle attacking position. So someone who's not the fastest, but someone who can pass, shoot and dribble very well, and have good weak foot and skill moves as well. In my opinion, this is what's key to make this formation work, because otherwise it just won't work as well. And you know, you need someone who essentially can play almost as a second striker in that middle attacking midfield role, someone who could score you a lot of goals. So before, I was using predominantly Bruno Fernandes as a middle attacking midfielder, and he was very good for this reason. Going forward, he was always in the right place at the right time, you know, and he was a very good passer and dribble off the ball in the game as well. And then attacking midfielders, this is where you go for your wider options, your wingers. So this is where you throw your Neymars, your Mbappes, your Luis Figos, your Ronaldinhos. This is where you throw literally anyone who can play as a winger for you in these wide attacking midfielder positions. This is where you guys can get a bit more creative in those perspectives. And this is where how I would imply the instructions. So your middle CDM, stay back while attacking, you know, cut passing lanes, cover center, the basic stuff. And then your attacking midfielders, your central attacking midfielder, I would advise on stay forward, because this is a position which will consume a lot of stamina. This is a position where you need someone with a lot of stamina to last the full game if you don't want to make a substitution. And when I say high stamina, I mean 90 plus. This is where if you even have someone like 88 stamina, like an second inform Marcus Rashford, he won't make the full game unless if you put him on stay forward. This is someone who you're going to have to get right and experiment with a lot of different players until you find someone who perfectly suits your playstyle, because this is a tough formation to get right from this perspective. Then you have your striker. This is where you can throw someone maybe tall in and a target man sort of style, someone who can hold up the play for you and bring others into the game. Last year, just for laughs, I always used to put in from Wesley at striker in a 4-2-3-1, someone who had about 80 pace, but a large amount of physicality, such as like 95 strength or 98 strength. He had something mad like that last year. And I used him a lot, and he was someone who would always bring others into the play. Now this is what you can do with your striker. You can choose that, or you can choose someone who's a lot faster, who can latch onto through balls maybe done by wingers, or crosses, fast crosses done by your wingers, or through balls by your central attacking midfielder. This is where you can get more familiar with your playstyle and the way you like to go forward. This is what you can do then. So in conclusion, 4-2-3-1, great formation, a lot of attacking and defensive abilities, but it's still not my favorite of the bunch. Time to get into my favorite formation of the game, the 4-4-2 defensive variation. This does it all. This is a very, very nice formation, and I've not used it for too long, but it's a fantastic formation. This is where all the pros have been using this formation, and this is where why it's the most popular formation on the game. So you're 4 at the back, you're standard. You don't have to do anything particularly different with that. But what makes this formation click a lot better is the fact that you have 2 CDM players instead of central midfielder players. Like I said, this year your defensive midfielders don't run back fully by themselves, and this is where you'll need to do a lot of manual control to bring them back to defend opportunities. Now, this is what makes the formation so good, because your defensive midfielders aren't going too far forward anyways at this point, so it's a lot easier to drag them back and then to defend a counter-attack a lot easier. Now, you can play this sort of style in any way you want in terms of your CDMs. I've gone for a medium-high work rate player such as Kante, and what I've gone for is a much faster player, someone with a high attacking work rate, but someone who can use his pace to make up for it. So in my team, I've used the Inform Cancelo, because he's very, very fast as a central midfielder, and he's got good defensive abilities as well. High medium work rate, but he's going to be someone who will be able to go forward a little bit more on the attacks compared to N'Golo Kante, and then offer more going forward. However, he won't be someone who's advanced too far forward, because he's still a CDM, and that's what's great about the formation. Now this is where you go onto your left mids and right mids. You choose very fast players and you put them on getting behind, get into the box for cross, and then cut inside as well. Very basic instructions, but these will basically once again turn it into more of a defensive, this time 4-2-4, where you'll have your CDMs instead of CMs, stay back a lot more, and then you have your wingers. You can choose whatever you want to do with them and then throw them forward, and then you'll still won't be counted anywhere near as bad as a standard 4-4-2. And then finally, you have your 2 strikers. This is where you can get creative as hell. You can do whatever you want. You know, this is where you let your imagination free. Now, the one thing about this formation, and I think that's absolutely perfect about it, is you can almost play it in little triangles between players. So, for example, your right back can play with your right centre back, and then your right CDM, and then that right CDM can play with your right back, and then your right midfielder, and then your right midfielder can play with your right CDM and your right striker. You know, you have many different options and triangle options to play as a style if you want, and then that's the best way you can keep the ball to hold out games. This is why many 1-0 wins can happen from this formation. It's a lot easier to hold possession than a standard 4-4-2, because your players aren't taking so many gambles in going forward, and it's a very easy formation for you to defend compared to other formations on this game as well. So it's a very good formation, and it is my favorite of the group. Well guys, I hope you have enjoyed that video. If you have, make sure you please leave a thumbs up. I've been Andreas, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon. Take care, lads.